was that?
It was the anticipation of saying hello.
Hello.
Hello?
Hi.
This is Two Girls, One Ghost.
Two girls, one ghost. And we are your ghostesses. That's Corinne, and I'm Sabrina. And this is a episode of our podcast that is on YouTube. You can see our bright, smiley, shiny faces right now. If you
super
just
shiny because we're both having some illness situations. So
you know,
the dew is here.
We're dewy. We're gonna pretend it's like, you know, our look, the dewy look.
Yeah,
people.
I just wish I had some
spend
like
a lot of money
good
trying to get this.
Yeah, I just want to read audiobooks now. Now that my voice is like, the laryngitis has gone past its peak, and maybe other people think I sound horrendous, but I think I sound super sexy. So
you do.
I'm like, I need some fairy smut. Like I need a chapter of something to read aloud. That's what I want to do.
Well, the great thing is that you have this podcast and you're about to read things to us and tell us all kinds of ghost stories. So, Corinne, you technically have that.
That's true. Okay. But it's just not inappropriate. I wanted to read like sexy stories.
Well, you can make it inappropriate. I mean, there are sexy ghost stories.
I chose.
Oh,
yeah, there are. There are plenty. Oh, remember when we covered celebrity ghost stories and we talked about all the celebrities that have had sex with the ghosts? Yeah. I like that one. I don't listen to that one, but I think about that one often. I don't listen to any of our episodes.
We don't re-listen. Yeah. No.
Makes me nervous.
Do you like my new edition?
I do. It looks really good. You know, every few recordings you have something new on that, and I think that this is probably the best. The Scary Dolly. Ew.
Hello. I have a Scary Dolly that I bought from Amazon that Nick and I have been hiding around the apartment to scare each other. And the other day, so I keep my microphone.
Are you keeping score?
No, it's kind of like.
Is it like if he scares you, then it's his turn to get scared?
No, then it's my turn. Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sorry, I said it in like a weird reverse way, but yes.
Yes. His turn to get scared. Yes. So I keep my microphone stand in my closet. And so the other day I came home and Nick and I are trying to do this thing where every night we tidy just so that we wake up in the morning and the house is clean and it feels like easy to work in.
Feels good.
And my closet is in the living room because it's a bigger closet. Anyway, so the other day was folding my clothes and I was like walking down the hall with my clothes, gonna put them in my closet, gonna put them away. And I opened my closet door and standing in front of the door is the doll on top of the microphone
doing
stand
the
like this.
That?
Just doing the splits.
It straddled it.
And Nick had moved the microphone stand, so this was like truly in your face as I opened the closet.
Oh my God.
And it was so shocking, but now it's just become funny. It's like, what brilliant idea is next?
What's your proudest moment so far?
Okay, I think I talked about this on Leia's trying to steal my light again.
Leia butt. We just need someone was commenting on our YouTube comments saying we need a time code of every time Leia appears, and I was like, I think we just need to make a compilation of it just should be like a 5-minute video of just like Leia.
Of Leia.
Just her butt basically is all we'll see. It's just her butt.
Just coming into frame. Hello. Yeah. Okay, I think I told this on I Campfire Stories, but my favorite place that I've put our dolly is Nick's closet has a string light. Like when you open the door, you have to pull the light. So for some reason, she has this like hook. I don't know why. And I tied the string onto this. So when he opened the closet, she was just hanging like this in front of his face.
So creepy.
This is one that I'm really excited about that I have to do. And I'll do it before this episode comes out so that it doesn't ruin it. Not that he listens. But so, you know how like the shower hooks you have in the like over the shower rod? Nick always puts his towel over the rod. This is hard to explain. But so I want to put it on a hook underneath his towel.
Oh,
so that when he pulls his towel down to dry himself off post showering, the doll's just there.
Do you have one of those little like S-hook things?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah. You should film it. Well, maybe not, because I'm assuming he'll be nude getting ready to go into the shower.
Well, that's the biggest thing is that wherever we hide it, it's hard to know when the person's going to find it. So I would love to get reactions on video, but I feel like I'd have to set up cameras in the house in order to do that.
Well, here's the challenge. It's like you and I are both apartment living too. That doll's pretty big. It's not like you have this tiny little trinket that it's kind of like where are you going to find it next? Yeah. The doll's kind of hard. Like there's only so many spots you can put the doll.
I put her in the bedside drawer so that because Nick gets chapstick every night before he goes to bed. So when he opened his drawer, she was just like staring up at him.
Has either of you been spooked by it, or are you guys just like, you got me?
I mean, I think she's unsettling to look at. No offense.
Yeah, she doesn't look great.
No.
Here's the thing. I'm not getting haunted vibes from her, but I'm getting, creepy vibes. Like, she just doesn't look good.
Yeah. She looks a little dewy, like us.
She does. Sabrina, I thought when you were like, oh, I'm not feeling well, and you literally are wearing a brace too because you like basically broke your thumb. There's a lot going on. Well, I thought we were showing up to this recording in our natural state of sickness, and you look fantastic.
Oh.
So,
well,
your hair is curled. You're wearing normal clothes. I'm like sweaty and dewy. I can smell myself. And I have a humidifier going. If it sounds like there's an aquarium behind me, it's not. It's a humidifier because if I don't have this on, I will have a coughing attack. So
I did laugh the other day. So you look really cute and put together with glasses on like that. The other day we had a meeting and Corinne and I were both sick. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't realize it was a Zoom. Oh, fine. I'm just going to put my blue light glasses on. I just want to show everyone what I look like in my blue light glasses. Hold on.
I think you look good. What?
You can't even see my eyes. Well, now with the light, it looks better. But I literally showed up like this. You can't even see my eyes.
I think you look good.
Okay.
You're very much like you just give me artist vibes when you have it. Like beautiful artist vibes. Have you seen the newest? I don't know why I literally never remember the name of the show, but what is the show?
What is it?
The Jessica Biel
Sinner.
The Sinner. I never remember the name of it, but the 4th season is out
Where
right now.
Where are you going with this?
Oh, well, the woman who is the artist in it,
I haven't
she has
seen it.
that's her style, and that's what I picture you as. You can just live in this secluded area of trees and just put it. I feel like because you've got more of the cat eye thing going with your natural eye shape, I think you look really good in glasses.
Corinne, you're just flattering me right now. Ooh. Don't stop.
Wait, I heard the other day the people who have cat eyes, like you, are starseeds. Which I have speculated that you are a starseed before.
That would make a lot of sense.
Right.
That is interesting though, because I would like to think that starseeds are a little fewer than that, you know?
Oh,
a lot of people have cat eyes.
There's lots of, I don't, and I wish I did.
I just want to be special.
I have a big ass owl eyes. I'm just constantly are you curious about seeing the entire iris? Well, just looking at my eyes.
But then you can see
nothing left.
I love big eyes. I feel okay, first of all, this is now compliment center.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Returning. We're both sick. We need to feel loved.
Make ourselves feel better. No, okay. You are the most photogenic person in the world, Corinne. And I think it's because you have these big, beautiful, one, you're stunning, but your eyes always just pop. You just look so awake and alive. Whereas when I take pictures, my eyes are kind of half closed. And it's is she kind of half dead? Not sure.
I beg to differ. And I think other people are going to agree with me here because I'm just waiting for your birthday to post this one specific picture of you from our photo shoot where I was it was a test photo. They're can someone just sit here for a test photo? And Sabrina's okay. And she sat there and she's just looking at the camera. The most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my whole life. I was are you kidding me? The best photo that came out of our entire photo shoot is the one where you were just sitting there as a test. You literally look like a statue. Oh, you know what I want us to do?
What?
You know those old
like, you want statues made of us?
No. I'm going to butcher this because I'm not smart, okay? But
yes, you are.
There's the old like tin, I forget what they're called, like tin photos. It's like the old way of taking. They look very like antique photo-esque.
Oh my gosh.
People look striking and their eyes look so alive in the photos.
Wait,
and
I'm pretty sure
want
like
to do one of those.
Isn't that what they do when you go to like Wild West towns and like you can put on the like old Victorian outfits and then they do those photos? We should do a photo shoot like that.
We should.
Wait.
Also, okay, I was noticing in
long
Salem,
exposure.
Sorry, I'm going to start to like
disrobe
because I'm getting hot and then I'm going to get cold.
Take it
and that's the way it is. So
we should do our next photo shoot to be long exposure, and we should do it where we have someone stand in as our ghost and we have like a ghostly apparition in all of our photos.
Ooh, like the old spirit photos that people used to. Oh my God, this is brilliant. I love this. Sabrina, we should do that on our Patreon. We have, isn't one of our perks that everyone's going to get like a Christmas card from us?
Oh,
or a holiday card?
Yes.
What if we made that? What if we got a photo like that and that's what we send out?
Okay, we have that and we have the Krampus one that we wanted to do. We have many years ahead of us. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got lots to do.
We are falling apart over here. No, we're coming back together.
We're coming back together.
I did fall off my bike. I told people about that in the campfire.
Here's the thing, we've run out of things to say. Well, there's something else we should probably talk about, which honestly, I don't know why we didn't start with this. This should have been the top of the show. But, you know, the past couple years, we've been in a pandemic. We haven't gotten to see many people.
What? What's been happening?
Barely have seen each other.
Yeah.
But prior to the pandemic happening, you and I did go and do a few live shows places.
We sure did.
And so we started thinking about it and we're like, you know, we'd like to get back into the swing of things and hopefully we'll book some live in-person shows sometime soon. But until then, we're going to have a moment with a Moment House and we're going to do a virtual live show. Oh my God.
We are. July 21st, you guys. Write it down. Put it in your calendars. Tickets are probably likely on sale by the time we're talking about this. So buy your tickets as soon as possible.
Check out our show notes, website.
Yes.
Link in bio, Instagram, YouTube. We're going to put the link everywhere because we want everyone to come. Yes.
And it's virtual. So you don't have to leave your home. You can make it like a fun night. Put it up on your TV. Get some popcorn, some beer, some wine. Some non-alcoholic drinks, some soda, I don't know, whatever floats your boat. And we're going to go live and have a live show.
It's going to be so fun. There's going to be, meet and greet. There's going to be merch that you can also get.
New merch.
While you're there, new merch. The meet and greets. We're going to hang out. There's a chat. Like, it's literally just going to be the best time ever. And we're so excited. I'm flying out to LA to be next to Sabrina, seated next to her for us to do this. In person. We're finally doing it. Whoa.
Ooh. That was a new. Honestly, it even cut out of my headphone. Like it was just like, we need to
all the dogs are barking.
Glasses shattering.
Your tone came out. Well, we're so excited. So we will talk about this for the next 4 weeks until it actually happens.
Until it happens.
And then we see you guys all there. But we'll give you more and more information as it approaches. But we're so excited. So follow along and come to our first virtual live show in ever.
Ever. And we are hoping that this is the beginning of more live shows for us, whether they're virtual or in person moving forward. So
we'll see how it goes.
Of exciting things coming your way. Yes. Okay.
I'm excited. Well, we say that every single episode. Now
I know.
Now I'm getting like pissed at myself for saying that so often.
But we are, and honestly, the day that we are no longer excited about this, I hope people are concerned because we started this for fun. We should be excited by it every single time. And I love that, it's been almost 5 years and we are still so stoked every time we do this.
it's just the love of ghost stories. Like, how can you ever become like that desensitized to ghost stories where you're like, ugh, whatever. No.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And I'm excited because I chose the Merchant's House Museum. And I just want to say that already, before even researching this place, like my initial, like putting it into Google, seeing what comes out, I immediately loved this place because they are so open about their hauntings and they own it. So a lot of the information I got was straight up from the website. They're like, yes, this place is haunted. That. Yes, there are spirits. Yes, you can come like look and learn about the history, but also about the ghosts. And I just appreciate that because you and I, Sabrina, we talk about it a lot. We're like, there's a lot of really haunted places and we won't name drop some of them because we don't want to be in bad graces with them. But I'll name drop one of them. Like, for example, Hotel Portsmouth.
Yeah.
Over in Portsmouth, our very first episode, they rebranded and they really didn't want people talking about how they were haunted. So they used to be the Sice Inn. I'm just putting them on blast. They used to be the Sice Inn, and now they're Hotel Portsmouth, and they just didn't really want to be known as this haunted place. And there's a lot of places like that where like new management, new ownership, they're just like not trying to attract us. Yeah,
we've tried to like.
Why don't you like us?
We've tried to partner up with hotels or that are infamously haunted. Like if you Google them, the ghost stories come up, but they're like, no, we don't want to be associated with this. And it's like, well, too bad. You already are.
Yeah, you already are. And also
like, we're still going to talk about you. Yeah.
Right. And I'm just thinking like there's certain cities that we've come into contact with this and we're like, you're literally a stop on, I just spit everywhere. You're literally a stop on like haunted bus rides or haunted walking tours. Like, how do you think you're not associated with this? 5 times a day, there's a bus full of people sitting outside of your hotel going, and this is where so-and-so was murdered. Like, we know.
Escape it. And also like, okay, maybe this is like the cynic in me, but when someone says I don't want to be associated with ghost stories, it makes me want to tell the ghost stories even more and just put them on blast and be like, this place is haunted. And
it's like, why aren't you owning your history and your truth?
It's also rude to the ghosts.
I agree. Because then they're feeling unwanted when oftentimes they're already in the spot where they are trapped for some reason and can't quite find peace and move on. And you're not helping.
You're not
hotel
helping
management.
by not telling their story. Yeah.
No.
By the way, this week's topic is museums, haunted museums.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And there are a lot of them. Okay, you go. I'm excited.
A lot. Yeah, there's 1,000 more that we need to do based on people's suggestions on Patreon.
Yeah.
And we said we were doing this. So I'm doing the Merchant's House Museum. And like I said before, a lot of the information that I got, I learned from the museum itself on their website.
Love that.
And also from a blog called The Globe-Trotting Teacher. So I'll give them credit because got a lot from them as well in their tour of the property. Okay, so almost 200 years ago, the Treadwell family, they moved to their home, which is now the Merchant's House Museum, the Merchant's House in Manhattan. It is located currently today in the NoHo neighborhood, and the home was already standing. So it has this Federalist style exterior, this Greek Revival interior, and now it's one of the oldest buildings in New York City, and it is very upper class. Like this is where the rich people lived. Not anymore because it's a museum, but like that's it was like, ooh, hoity-toity, you know? You get to live there, you can afford there. Sick. So fancy. Okay, so this place is super fancy. It is very big and spacious, upper class. So it was an easy place for Seabury Treadwell to move his family into and to get settled.
Seabury. I love that name.
I know, Seabury. Seabury. Treadwell. It does feel very like upper class, doesn't it? Seabury Treadwell. So he owned a hardware business, and he was also in the business of pumping out kids. He had a lot of them. So he and his wife, Eliza, they decided to put down their roots and grow their family in this house. And their family lived in this house for almost 100 years.
Corinne, you were just saying earlier today how you wanted to read something like sultry and salacious.
Oh,
well,
I guess I am turning it into this. Yes. Seabury Treadwell and Eliza.
Doing
they
the dirty.
Looked at each other in this house, and they were just like,
Seabury.
I'll show you my hardware if you show me your plumbing.
Wow.
Okay.
Woo,
I clearly need a script. Oh, me too. It's got to be these lights though in this sickness, because that was not. Oh
my gosh!
I'll work on my writing skills.
Good luck keeping your pants on, everyone who's listening.
I hope no kids are listening. They're gonna be like, what even happened? I didn't even notice anything sexy happening, and that's because there was nothing sexy happening. Okay,
I don't know, Corinne. That was pretty brilliant. I want to. You have the rights to this book now.
All right, thanks. Seabury's Big Sexual Adventure. That's what it's called. It's a picture book.
Look at my tools. This is my screwdriver.
My hammer.
Do you want to know what this does?
Hard. And here are my nuts. And here are my bolts.
My bolts. Ooh.
My big tool belt.
Ooh, Corinne.
I also don't know tools that well, clearly.
You just named like 20. I'm impressed.
20. Nuts, bolts, and hammer. Yeah, baby. The worst is when I'm home and my dad is like, can you hand me the wrench? Can you hand me the needle nose pliers? I'm just like, what the fuck are those? Just like bring the whole toolbox over to him. I'm like,
yeah. What did you need?
Need a class.
I worked at. This is one thing I'm very proud of. So in college, my work study job was crew for the theater program, and I built all the sets and stuff. And so like I would go to the shop and we'd cut wood and we'd like make the measurements and I'd nail things in. I'd like build things. And so I'm really proud of myself that I'm pretty handy. I know how to use a nail gun. I know how to use like a screwdriver. I'm pretty.
You'll have to make me some crown molding for my future house. That's great. That is really impressive, actually. Your gallery wall is looking amazing. I was thinking that every single time I see it. So now I'm telling you. Instead of keeping the compliments in my head. Okay. All right. So Seabury and Eliza, they settle down in this house in New York City. They're rich. They have a bunch of kids. They pump out 8 children. And Gertrude Treadwell is their youngest of the 8 children. She is born in the upstairs bedroom in 1840. And for Gertrude, this home and her family are everything. She's born into this house. She spends her entire life here. She never moves out. She never marries. She lives her life wonderfully in this house, preserving the home and all of its 19th century contents inside. She didn't update it. She didn't renovate it. She was just like, this is the house, and I'm going to make sure it is pristine and perfect, just as my family had made it to be 100 years ago, basically. So she has created this like immaculate home because, you know, her other siblings and relatives, they live, they move out, they pass away. She's the last one of the family to still be living in that house. And then in 1933, at the age of 93, Gertrude passed away in the home where she was born.
I'm just picturing myself like granted, we moved out of my childhood home and stuff, but I'm just picturing myself preserving the furniture in my mom's home and everything that's there. And personally, it is not my taste at all. But like, I would never be able to do that. But it is weird to think like maybe in 100 years from now, someone would be interested in walking through what my mom's home looked like. I mean, granted, it's my mom, but, you know.
I guess like layouts and stuff. Yeah, because it's kind of like think about like modern farmhouse. Like modern farmhouse in 50 years, people are going to be looking back at it kind of like even like if we think about the 70s, like conversation pits. 10 years ago, we were like, eh. And now people are starting to bring back conversation pits. So it's interesting because there are different time periods where like there's such a concentrated and like purposeful design style. Mm-hmm. But right now, I don't know what is the design right now? I feel like it's so eclectic. Everyone's just kind of like doing whatever they want.
Yeah. But I feel like, you know, like the wallpapers and stuff are all coming back. People are getting back into that style.
True.
Yeah.
Well, my parents' house, you've actually never been, but in Vermont, I feel like that would be such a weird one to preserve because my parents' house are very, like their style is very new American. And so it does look, some of the rooms look like they're from the 1800s, but it was like built in the 90s.
Like, oh, that's cool.
That would be such a weird one.
And you guys have so many antiques.
Yeah. Yeah.
My mom has like,
it's a little creepy.
I feel like I'm dissing my mom. I love my mom. She just has collects a lot of things.
People have different tastes.
Yes. But she has a lot of those like home sweet home pillows, or like, if you read this, give me wine.
She's a live, laugh lover. She's such
a live, laugh lover. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with live, laugh lovers. It's just not certain people's taste. Brian always has to remind me of that when we're like looking, because our favorite hobby is to like look on Zillow. And I'll be like, ugh, ugh, ugh. And he's like, just because it's not your taste doesn't mean it's bad. Like, that's not my design. It's like, because you're one person out of like the whole world. Not
and
everything is made for you, Corinne.
It's good that we don't all have the same taste, because we don't want to live in like 1984. We want, people to have their own
copy paste track homes, like A Wrinkle in Time. Spooky.
Yes.
Okay. Well,
anyway,
so Gertrude, back to this museum. Okay, so Gertrude, she passes away in the home. I don't know anything about how she passed. I'm assuming it's natural causes, because she was 93 years old.
Long life.
But I think it's quite lovely that she got to pass in the same home where she came into the world. It was her own little portal in and out of this life.
That is kind of amazing.
Yeah, truly. However, Gertrude was not about to leave so easily. She lived almost a century in this home. So she was like, I'm supposed to move on? No, I'm staying. This is my house. Spent my whole life here. So this likely wasn't really discovered, this haunting, or taken into consideration when her distant cousin decided 3 years after her death to turn this house into a museum. The cousin thought, it's an old house, it's historic, it's perfectly preserved. Let's make this baby a national landmark. Let's open it to the public so that everyone can learn about this time period. Yeah, super cool. So he bought the home, he repaired it, and he kept all the original period pieces, the furniture, the clothing, the trinkets, the family portraits. He kept all of it inside. So he kept it pristine and restored anything that needed to be restored. So like, a great guy. Like this is
love that.
Brilliant. Like, yeah, love that for him and for us. And so then 3 years after her death, he then opens it as a museum. So people are in there. They're walking through the home. They're exploring. They're learning about the history, the heavy curtains to keep the warmth of the winters out, or the warmth during the winters in. The warmth of the winters in. No, that's my brain's foggy.
If you're in California and Florida, maybe.
Yeah,
South.
Maybe.
Yeah.
People are walking through the kitchen. You can learn when you're in the kitchen about the meals that the family and, well, really like the staff prepared back then and how they ate. And I learned this from the blog that I had mentioned earlier. She was saying that when she walked through, they were learning about like kind of some of like the grosser meals that people would eat, and they would boil their pasta for an hour. Like freaking al dente, baby.
It's mush at that point.
Oh, yeah, I guess it's mush. I was thinking it's like so far gone to the point where it's like hard again, where it's just like congealed together into this dense mass. But yeah, you're right. It's probably just water at that point. It's just mushy pasta.
Ew, what?
Yeah, so there's try it. You get to learn a lot. Okay.
It's actually one of my favorite things.
Water would probably boil out. You might just have pasta left at the bottom of the pot
sticking on the bottom.
Yeah.
I actually love looking at old like 1920s, through like the 1960s recipes. Like everything was pudding. Like every meal was like pudding meat and all this stuff. And I would love to just watch someone make all those meals and try them.
Oh my God. Do I have a recommendation for you? Of course, I cannot remember the name at the moment, but I will find him and tell you. There's a guy on TikTok who literally does this. That's his whole channel. He goes through all of the old vintage recipes and he makes them and tries them. And most of them are gross, but some of them are surprising. Like he made this cake that basically had like almost nothing in it the other day. It was like no egg, no sugar, no butter. He's like, what the fuck is this? And it ended up being good. But I will find it for you because
find it. That's like my dream. Channel. I just want to watch. Okay.
I know. Yeah, he should have a whole show because it's pretty amazing.
And then hire me so I can be part of it.
Right. Yeah, he should do like a little cooking class where we all get to try it. It's the disappointing cooking class where you most likely will not like what you made.
There's like vomit buckets next to everyone.
Ugh, So nasty. Okay, so like as you're walking through, you get to learn all this cool history and do all these things. And they have these bells. The servants would literally have to memorize the sound of the bell because they weren't labeled. So you'd have to know like what bell means what and for who and where it's coming from in the house. Like there's just a lot of history that you get to learn in this home about how the family functioned, how the servants functioned, like how they just lived day to day. And you also get to visit the rooms where many of the family members who were born there or lived there died there. There were, I think, 4 family members who died in that house. So the museum opens and everyone's like, cool, this is freaking sweet. Like we get to basically go 100 years into the past. But immediately visitors began to realize that they were very much not alone. There was a chill in the air, scents wafting through that were out of place, an icy touch brushing by your arm. Sounds would echo from rooms where no living person was in, and continued inexplicable phenomena. What was my English just then? My brain just glitched. But this ghostly phenomena just like continued, and more things started to happen. And people were like, this is awfully suspicious. The staff who worked there in the museum would hear footsteps down the halls. There was a broken piano that they would hear play on its own. And computers would freeze when you would type in the word Treadwell. I mean, obviously, this is like more recent because computers weren't around when the museum first opened. But like, that's one of the things that happens when staff members would type in the family's name, the computer would start like glitching and freezing.
That's so fascinating.
Ladies and gentlemen, this was clearly a haunting. So fascinating.
Clearly,
this place is haunted. And it continues to be.
I do declare.
And now, in Gertrude's defense, there were, I was wrong. I did write it down. There were 8 family members who did die in this house.
8?
So it very well might not all be her. And we know for a fact that there are some other family members that are haunting this museum because people have spotted them. They believe it is the father, Seabury, and her brother, one of her older brothers, Samuel. So here are a few of the encounters that people have had. 3 men who were touring the house were stopped in the hallway and told by an older man that they needed to leave. And later, when they're like walking back down, they turn around. They're like, okay, like we can't go down this hallway. I guess the museum's closing. So they turn around, they go back and they find their tour guide. And then they realize that they don't have to leave. And the guy that they just talked to is on a painting on the wall because that was Scary Treadwell, who was like, get the fuck out of my house.
Oh, it's so funny to me because I'm imagining him wearing such antiquated clothing. But I guess like men's clothing could be a little bit more versatile. Like if you just are wearing like slacks and like a tank or something like that at home.
Right. But also like it's a historic home. So like I think you could assume that there might be some staff members who are dressed like you don't know if there's an event going on or like, like what are people's costumes?
Right.
You never know.
Uniforms could have been. Yeah.
The brother, Samuel, he appeared next to a woman who was looking at family portraits. So this woman was standing there and she was glancing up at the wall and she was like observing all of the family portraits. And he came up and stood by her and started talking to her. And they just spoke for like a little bit. And then her boyfriend enters the room and she like notices her boyfriend and turns back to the guy that she was just standing next to talking to. And the guy is gone. He's disappeared. And then she realizes that she was talking to Samuel. And I so badly wish I knew what they spoke about. But
I know.
It wasn't written anywhere.
Is so wild. These ghosts are like so active and having full conversations.
Yes.
And people are fully believing that they're human. So, I mean, they are powerful or full of energy.
Truly.
These ghosts.
Truly. Like full body apparitions. Yeah. Like blocking. Like no one's saying, oh my God, I think I caught a glimpse of someone, a spirit.
Right.
Like they are thinking that these are human beings currently living, walking through the home and instructing them to do things.
Yeah. Wow.
One person who's instructed people to do things is Gertrude, actually. She's very like old lady cranky, get off my lawn. So she was spotted by neighbors not long after she passed away, actually. She ran out of the house. Her ghost, her spirit, ran out of the house, her arms waving in the air, down onto the steps, and started yelling at the kids that were being noisy right outside. Like, stop making so much noise, children.
Gertrude.
Get away from my property. Yes. So people saw this. And it was her neighbors that knew that she'd passed away, and they were like flabbergasted at what they were witnessing.
Whoa.
She's usually seen wearing period clothing, a brown dress to be exact. And one time in this outfit, she greeted museum visitors at the front door and told them that the museum was closed. And it was not closed. She was just like,
oh my gosh.
No visitors today, please.
She's like, I am not in the mood today. Please leave.
Honestly, it kind of seems like everyone except for Samuel's like not into it. Her dad is turning people away, saying you got to go. And she's like, you know what? We're not doing this today. It's closed.
This is reminding me so much of the show Ghosts. And just like the fact that this family has kind of acknowledged the fact that it's been turned into a museum and they don't have complete control over it. So instead of just like haunting and scaring people, they're like, I got this. I have the workaround. I will stand in front of the house and tell everyone it's simply closed, and they'll go on their way.
Right. They use all their energy to stand there. Like, I'm picturing it now, just like in the show Ghost, where her brother and her dad are like by the side and you can't see them at all. I'm like trying to not make noise. So that's why I'm putting this down so slowly. This mug. Sorry, that was weird. I should have just put it down. But I'm like picturing them.
And now,
you know,
please
like,
let me draw a lot of attention to this fact that I did this.
Yeah, I was like, that's so awkward. Why am I doing that? You know, forget it. Let's move on. Okay. So given that this place has very active hauntings, naturally people have flocked to it. There are psychics, paranormal investigators, and paranormal instigators, aka paranormal enthusiasts. Where did that come from? Was that from one of our Campfire Stories episodes?
I think we did talk about it. Oh, no, there was a meme. There was a meme that we talked about. Yeah. And now I can't remember, but it said, I'm not a paranormal investigator, but I'm a paranormal instigator.
Yes. Yeah. But like I said, the museum really leans into it. So they let everyone come in and explore and do these like hunts for hauntings, basically. So let's flash forward to 2020, the pandemic. Everyone is spending more time inside. They're baking bread. They're taping fake ivy onto their walls. And they're realizing that maybe their houses are haunted. And so paranormal investigator Dan Sturgis and neuroscientist Dr. Lee are like, well.
Wait, Dan Sturgis. We've talked about him before.
Have we?
I think we have.
Probably.
The name sounds so familiar.
I mean, he's a paranormal investigator, so.
But
I'm assuming he's New York based because he's at this museum all the time. So maybe we have.
I feel like I know that name.
Probably. But they're like, okay, maybe we should start looking at not our house, but the house down the block, the Merchant's House Museum. And now that it's closed because of the pandemic, we can maybe start peeking and doing some investigations and figuring out what the heck is happening. Yeah, this is 2020. So they grab their things and they head to the Merchant's House Museum for one of the many, many, many trips they would make in the coming years. And they begin this extensive research on the place, basing it on the scientific method and using these specialized pieces of equipment that are custom built for investigating this house in particular.
Whoa.
And these guys are sharing it with the world. So every month they host events from this home, from the museum, where they discuss their research, the EVPs that they've caught, and any new insights into the paranormal. And if you're wondering what they've caught, I don't know, but I did sign up for the next show.
Oh,
so
fun.
I will get back
to
you guys in 2 weeks. When? It's this Friday. I'm actually supposed to be at a wedding, so we'll see if I can slip away.
Slip away
on my phone.
I gotta go to the bathroom. Oh,
I gotta go.
Where's Corinne? She's in the bathroom again. Is she okay?
Someone's like, the bathroom's haunted. I keep hearing these weird EVPs and echoes coming from one of the stalls. Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, they do it every month. So if I don't end up being able to go, wow, English
getting
is
to
really
be able
hard
to go
today.
Yeah.
Then I will go again in the future. But so I'm very eager to hear like what they say.
Me too.
And all of that. But they also, one of the other cool things that they do, and I hope they still do this because I didn't see it on the website, but I read it on some of the various other sites. They hold raffles, and the winner of the raffle gets to go and be present when they're actually doing the research, like conducting the paranormal experiment.
Corinne, let's do it. Let's enter the raffle.
This sounds so fun, doesn't it?
It sounds so fun.
I'll find out how to get into the raffle, and then we'll do it.
Okay.
So
let's do it.
You guys can visit the Merchant's House Museum. You can take guided tours. And during spooky season, you can take a candlelit tour to learn about the history of the home, the architecture, the ghosts. And if you have a ghostly encounter, they actually encourage you to write them about what you experienced so that they can add it to their record book of paranormal activity. I love this place.
Yeah.
And you can also go to their website to see this event, this monthly event that is held by these researchers. It's called In the Spirit of Science. It is free, but you can also make a monetary donation to the museum. And that is the Merchant's House Museum and the Hauntings Within.
Wow, that was a moment.
Done.
The end.
The end.
That's so cool. I've never heard of this. These museums are maybe one of my favorites. The ones that are like preserved homes and history of like a family.
Well, and they also have, so I was looking at photos, they have not like creepy mannequins, but like the like fashion mannequins where you can like drape clothing onto them for like seamstresses and designers and whatnot. Cool. And they have them throughout the house with actual clothing on it. Oh. So you can like see some of the fashion items. Yeah.
That's really cool.
We should go.
Okay. Fine.
And when you look on Google Earth too, it's one of those houses that looks out of place because everything around it has been modernized and built up. And it's just this like house in the middle of these like large concrete structures. New York City is like growing around it, but this house is
that's kind
still
of
pristine.
What's amazing about New York City is there's so much history there, and there are so many old historic buildings that like have just been transformed into like Zara's and shopping centers and
oh my God, yeah.
I
feel like McDonald's and Bank of America, like those two businesses are always in like the most beautiful buildings in cities. And I'm like, what? Why?
That is so true.
What was in here before? But next time we're in New York, we need to now go there, do a tour. Then we need to go. Remember, we covered 1 If by Land, 2 If by Sea. We need to go dine there.
And we need to find the
Maybe
well.
Say hello to Alexander Hamilton. Yes. And the ghost train. There's so much to do in New York.
Okay, we're going to New York.
We're going to New York, baby.
Grab your bags.
It's like the opposite reason most people go to New York. We're like, we gotta find the ghosts.
That's like, that's just also the epitome of you and I's relationship. It's like, okay, while we're here, is there anything ghostly we can do?
Right. I already had to make some promises to some people that my future bachelorette party is not going to be haunted. But what they don't know is I'm just going to sneak a couple of things in and just not tell them, but I'll tell you it is. Yeah. We'll just be, in a house. Just, let's go grab a drink at the pub.
Yeah. And
I'll tell you.
Yeah. Also, it's your bachelorette, so you can do whatever you want.
Which is go to haunted places and not tell anyone that it's haunted. And then we'll see what they experience.
We'll see what happens. Oh my gosh. I love that.
Yeah. I don't want to influence it. It has to be authentic experiences. Yes. And it will be authentic if people don't know that it's actually haunted. So there we go.
Oh, so excited.
Now that I'm listening, I'm going to chug the rest of my tea. That's now like extremely cold.
What is on your, is that a cow on your?
Of course it is. This is Warren Kimball design. This is a cow because I'm from Vermont. So
and because of museums, apparently.
And museums. Yeah, Warren Kimball. Here we go. My parents have some of his artwork in our house in Vermont. And growing up, I was always like, this is so creepy. And now I love it. And I'm like, can I please have this portrait when you're done with it?
When you're done with it.
I love it. When you're done with it.
I love it too. Yeah. Okay, well, speaking of art, and some of the most famous art in the world is held in this museum. It's the Louvre.
Oh.
And kind of like what you were talking about in the beginning, this is one of those places that they don't like to advertise that it's haunted. But it is very haunted. And it's also very hard to find all the stories, but there are like some mainstream stories that like are out there. And then there are people who've like posted on Reddit like, hey, I used to work here and there were things that happened all the time. I was told I wasn't allowed to talk about it. I mean, but imagine like there are so many pieces of art. It also exists within like a palace that dates back to like, well, I'll get there, like 12th century. There's just so much history there and so many antiques, so many ancient relics that exist in this place. No wonder it's haunted.
Well, and also I feel like they're really missing tapping into, I mean, I don't know if they need to like monetize their museum anymore. Like, they probably make plenty of money.
Okay.
But like, even for the month of October, like at least give us access to all of your security cameras. Let us see things for ourselves, please. I would pay a monthly subscription for that.
Yes, but that I bet that would be like a liability just in terms of if like they're art thieves, they could probably use. Well, then
everyone gets to catch them.
To their advantage.
They don't even have to worry about getting the footage to the police and say, have you seen this man? Because there's going to be thousands of people that are like, oh my God, it's happening live.
I'm more mean
rush
like
over to
someone
museum.
Can, if you have footage going all the time, a thief can like monitor activity and like know routines of security guards and then like be able to plan their heist.
Well, security guards just got to be unpredictable. Sometimes
I know.
break out into song and dance. Sometimes all the security guards are together doing
just like zigzag
cafeteria routine. You never know where they're going to be or what they're going to do.
Flash mob.
Part of your job description.
Flash mob with the Mona Lisa.
Over 40 pounds and flash mob with the Mona Lisa.
Not so much to ask for. Come on.
No.
It's all in the job description. Okay. So you may know the Louvre because of the famous pieces of art and the infamous architecture, the Mona Lisa, Venus de Milo, the glass pyramid that people all over Instagram post pictures with and pretend to be like holding. You know the one.
Yeah.
Yes. But it is also ridiculously haunted. And like I said, it is not publicized. So when I was researching haunted museums, I was simultaneously shocked that it popped up, but also not surprised because that makes sense. Considering
it's one of those things, like you said, where it's like we would think that we would have heard about it.
Yeah. But
I guess if they're making a very big concerted effort to not be talked about in that way.
Yeah. And I guess there's so much other stuff in it that's talked about more publicly that I guess the hauntings go under the radar.
Right.
But it's filled with antiques and historic pieces of art, and it's a historic landmark that dates back to the 12th century. Because before the ghosts and before the art, the Louvre was a fortress built by King Philip II in the late 12th century to protect the city from attack. Then in 1546, Francis I, who was an avid art collector, had the fortress demolished and began to build a palace on top of the land. And it was called the Louvre Palace, or La Louvre Palace. Palace de la Louvre. I don't know. Where's my French? And there's only a small portion of the fortress that exists today, and it's actually seen, you can like walk through it. It's in the crypt of the museum. So there's like original stone from the 12th century fortress, which I think is so fascinating.
That's really cool.
And then after Francis I, every monarch that followed added on to the Louvre Palace. So it just kept becoming bigger and bigger. Louis the 13th and the 14th added major additions in the 17th century. And as the royal families were continuing to grow and pass it on to their ancestors, they would collect more art and just fill the halls with gorgeous, incredible, stunning pieces of art that, I mean, so today cool. are so historic. And then so art was always a foundational aspect of the palace. And as it expanded, there was a committee that consisted of architects, artists, and decorators that would plan like the Louvre, and they built all these halls specifically for art displays because it was just so important to them. And then in 1682, Louis XIV decided to move his court to Versailles, which was then when people were like, okay, well, what do we do with the Louvre? And what do we do with all of this art? So by the 18th century, there were all these proposals to create a public gallery at the Louvre. And there was a call to display the royal collections. But it was like mostly a lot of talk. It was like, oh, we should do this. What if this? What if that? What if we did all of this? And nothing concrete ever happened until the French Revolution. And I do think it's really interesting because the Louvre finally became a public gallery during the French Revolution. So it was like, hey, in the midst of war and the revolution, let's open a museum. But I guess
priorities.
That's what people want.
You got to keep spirits high.
Yeah.
There's got to be something for everyone to do, except for besides talking about the war. And
yeah, who am I to judge? Maybe it's exactly what the country needed, and it made everyone happy. So in May of 1791, it was declared that the Louvre would be a place for bringing together monuments of all the sciences and arts. And when King Louis XVI was imprisoned, the royal collection in the Louvre became national property, which this also I think is probably why it opened during the French Revolution. When it became national property, it was like, if we don't make this a public museum right now, thieves are going to come in. There's going to be like people coming after the art and just being like, it's not, basically there was no protection for the art. So the government came in and was like, let's protect it. Let's make it a public museum ASAP.
That makes sense.
And then exactly 1 year after Louis XVI's arrest and the anniversary of the monarchy's demise, the Louvre opened on August 10th, 1793. It was called Muséum Central des Arts de la République, and the public was given free access 3 days a week. When it first opened, it had 537 paintings and 184 objects of art. And just keep those numbers in mind because the way it has grown since then is just blows my mind. I'll tell you kind of towards the end how many pieces of art it has now. And it's wild. Under Napoleon, the Cour Carrée and a wing on the north were constructed. Then in the 19th century, 2 major wings, their galleries and pavilions were completed. And the Louvre was just continuing to grow bigger and bigger. It was a vast complex of buildings with 2 large courtyards. And then in the 1980s and 90s, the Louvre underwent major remodels to make it more accommodating for visitors. They added underground offices, shops, exhibition spaces, storage parking, bus depots, a cafeteria. It's basically like a massive underground mall. And if you haven't been there, it's a bit it's overwhelming just how massive it is.
Yeah.
And you could spend I remember because I've been there twice, and you can spend an entire day there. You will be exhausted. You will probably get 50,000 steps because you're walking so much. And you
Didn't
still
you go there when you
everything.
had a layover?
No, that was London.
Oh.
We missed our connecting flight, so we got stuck in London for a day, and then we went and just ran around the city.
Yeah.
But I went a couple years ago with my family, and then back when I was an au pair in Italy, I also went to Paris for a weekend with my sister.
So fun. I
So
always forget that you were an au pair.
I know.
It's like a whole nother life of yours. I don't even remember when that happened. When did you do
it was
that?
only 2 months. It was 2014.
Oh.
The summer before senior year of college. Mm-hmm.
So cool.
Okay, so it's massive. And then they added the steel and glass pyramid, which, believe it or not, was very controversial, which is so fascinating because I think when you picture the Louvre, at least for me, I picture that glass pyramid because it's such an iconic part of the architecture. But people were furious about it because they said it was sacrilegious to tamper with the Louvre's majestic old French Renaissance architecture, and that because the pyramid is like the Egyptian pyramids, it has ties to death. So it felt like it was a bad omen to have this monument of death in the midst of this beautiful place, and people were furious. But it
also,
I don't know
if it's the architect, Louvre or if it's like the Met or something right now, but there's another museum that's going through something somewhat adjacent to that right now.
Interesting.
Where they've discovered that there's a ton of stolen ancient Egyptian artifacts that they basically have to return.
That's the biggest thing with museums is a lot of art in museums are like illegally traded or like came here because like thieves stole it and brought it and sold it. Yeah. There's a lot of questionable stuff, but there is a massive collection of Egyptian antiques and artifacts at the Louvre. And so the architect built this pyramid kind of as an homage to that, of like, this museum holds a lot of this, like, let's, represent that on the exterior as well. Right. But, people will get mad about anything. People also say it serves as a symbol of the Illuminati, and that like that they're like admitting that the royals and all of them are part of the Illuminati. And I'm like,
damned if you do, damned if you don't.
It's actually a symbol of the TGOG triangle, and the architect is a part of it.
We were there first. We got to do our little triangle.
We were there first with my little brace. But also, it's interesting because people thought the Eiffel. I remember when I went to Paris, like people hated the Eiffel Tower because they built it in it was the World Fair. What was it? 1889. It was part of the World Fair, and people were furious about it. They thought it was the most hideous structure, and I guess you could say it is. It's like a big metal tower. It's not like in theory, it's not like a beautiful, but it's now one of the most, if not the most iconic piece of architecture in Paris. Like,
right,
you can't think of Paris without the Eiffel Tower.
It, and everything is pretty when you put twinkly lights on it. So,
okay. So anyway, today the Louvre is the most visited museum in the world. And remember, when I said it first opened, it had 537 paintings and 184 objects of art. Do you want to take a guess at how many objects are in the Louvre today?
Wait, how many did it have before?
Started with 537 paintings and 184 objects.
I'm gonna say like 11,000 objects.
So much more.
What?
There are more than 380,000 objects, 35,000 works of art in 8 different departments, and it's more than 60,600 square meters dedicated to permanent collections that are the richest in the world and represent periods of European art, like the revolutions of 1848. There are French paintings from the 15th to 19th centuries. There are Italian Renaissance masterpieces, including Da Vinci's Mona Lisa and many works of the Baroque period. There are displays of treasures from French royalty. There are Greek, Etruscan, Roman antiques like architecture, sculpture, mosaics, jewelry, pottery. There's also a massive department of Egyptian antiques and Mesopotamian art. It is the most extraordinary collection and the most visited museum in the world.
I'm very curious now what it looked like back then when it first opened, because it doesn't seem like they changed too much in terms of the interior. Rather, they just changed what the purpose of the spaces were for. So I want to know like how spread out it was.
I mean, they added on a lot of buildings, and I imagine that maybe like only certain wings of like what was the palace were open to the public. And then now, because now also they have, similar to the museum you were talking about, they've put the furniture from that time period into certain like areas of the palace, what used to be the palace, to show you what that looked like.
This felt like I was in first grade again, where it was like, write your guess, how many gumballs are in this thing? And I'm like 23, and they're like, no, you idiot, it's 800. Where's your spatial awareness? Never been good at that.
Never been good at that either. Also, I mean, I didn't set you up for that. It was just, you were going in blind.
It's okay. Well, I forgot that they added other buildings.
Yeah.
So I was just like, how many more pieces of paper and pens and arrows and quills do they have?
That's also the other thing. Is like jewelry is so small. Like you can also like there's coins. Like it's just there's so many objects
and pieces of like pottery and stuff. Like there will be like a scrap this big or like a little crystal or something. Yeah.
So it adds up. So It's a collection unlike any other in the world, and it is no wonder that it is freaking haunted.
Yeah. So I forgot that's what we were here for. I was like, yes, art history, baby. Let's learn. Ghosts.
The fortress, palace, and museum have seen their fair share of deaths and unfortunate endings. That plus the pure number of ancient artifacts housed within, there is a running list of spooky tales that have spread through the years. The most infamous apparition is that of Jean Le Coucheur. I'm sure that's probably not said correctly, but you know what?
You tried?
I tried. He also was known as Jack the Skinner or the Queen's Butcher. Jean was a butcher by trade, and Catherine de' Medici, the queen, took a liking to him in the 16th century, and she kind of not a romantic interest, a murderous, use your butcher skills to kill people I do not like interest.
A little Sweeney Todd action.
Yes. So she called upon him as her henchman, and he would do her bidding. But then as time went on, she started to worry that Jean actually knew too much about the royal family because she was having him do favors for her. So therefore he knew too much. And so she had her butcher butchered, and he was murdered.
Oh my God. I feel bad for him. She made him do all of these horrible things. And then, what did he do to make you so suspicious, queen? It's just a cycle that's never going to.
It's her problem. Yeah. She could have used some therapy, and let's just say, I think that was like the amount of killings that happened in like the medieval and the royal time periods back like in ancient history. It is like, you look at me wrong and you will be killed.
I know. It would be really tough.
I know.
To witness that.
Or to live in that time. Like in theory, I would love to go back and just experience that. But one, hygiene would be pretty miserable. And two, I feel like even if you are royal, it's miserable because you could be overthrown and beheaded in moments.
Right. Yeah, no, being royal is really scary because all your siblings are after you. And let's face it, there was a whole lot of inbreeding. So
that's also true.
A ton of health problems.
Yes.
It's not an easy life, I don't think.
No.
It's not all money and servants.
Yeah. So anyway, Catherine de' Medici has Jean killed. But Jean was like, you know what? Girl, you can't just kill me and think you're gotten rid of me. He came back as a ghost and haunted the royal family in the palace of the Louvre. And he would apparently he would haunt all the royal family, like show up. He apparently showed up in red. So he was nicknamed the Red Man. And he came into contact with a lot of the royal family. And apparently a lot of them who came into contact with his spirit died in a string of mysterious circumstances. Oh. I couldn't find more information on that because I think it was just the Louvre may have done a really good job at hiding some of these stories. Is what
it's giving very like Hope Diamond, you know? Coming with this museum and with this person.
But it is also like back then people were dying. No one understood how or why people were dying, so it could also just
Everyone's
be that.
Got cholera and dysentery and the plague.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. So he haunted the royal family. He continues to haunt the Louvre, and he can be seen roaming the halls and nearby gardens, and he's always wearing red. Apparently, Napoleon reported seeing the Red Man in 1815, and I tried to look up like what he saw and what the experience was, and I couldn't find much. But he saw the Red Man. There are also reports of the Louvre being haunted by a mummy, and some theorize it's the mummy of Belfort, and his mummy is said to stalk the halls mostly at night when the museum is closed from the public. This spirit became
what Night at the Museum was based off of? It feels like it is.
I mean, I feel like every museum comes to life at night. That is my belief. So this spirit of the mummy became so famous that it inspired a movie that came out in 2001. I didn't have great reviews, but I think it's like it's a French movie called Belphegor, The Phantom of the Louvre. There are reports of ghostly apparitions and voices that echo through the halls late at night. But like I said, the stories don't make it too far off the premises in an effort to perfect the sanctity of the museum. But let's just say, if I were a mummy, an artist, or the muse of the art, aka the person in the art, I would for sure haunt the Louvre. One, it would be so cool to just like roam the halls at night and like see all the other ghosts, because that's what I imagine it's like, just like a party at the Louvre.
Yeah. Get to hang out.
To explore the palace and find like, I mean, yes, it's a public museum, but there are for sure like secret underground tunnels with art that's like being restored down in the basement. There's probably things that not everyone knows about, and I would love to explore it. So I don't blame all the ghosts for haunting it, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm also picturing spirits having the ability to jump into like paintings and visit each other in different landscapes. So
Harry Potter?
Yeah. Like, I don't know if there's a Monet there, but it's just like, oh, let's go.
Probably.
Let's go over to the lily pond.
Through the lily. Yeah.
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 So beautiful.
Would love that. I love that.
That would be a dream. Ugh.
Mona Lisa only smiles at night. The second everyone leaves, she's like,
ooh. That I believed you for a second. I thought you were saying an actual like ghostly fact.
Oh.
That's why I looked at you like that. I was like, really? I've never heard that. That's so scary.
This is how rumors start.
Well, you said it with such conviction. I was like, oh, wow. That's terrifying.
No.
But like, maybe. What kind of smile does she do? Like a menacing. Just she smiles. I guess she was already kind of smizing. Yeah. Or like when she just like tucks her upper lip, gets her upper lip stuck.
Let's make weird faces for everyone to watch.
Yeah. Here we go. One of my friends can do the face of, you know what? I'm forgetting all of the words. Never mind.
Well, I want to know what you were going to say.
I can't. The Grinch. That's who I was thinking of. It took me a while. The Grinch.
She can make her face. That was the cutest reaction. I don't remember.
I can't remember.
You just made yourself small. Become big again.
Yeah. Oh, you know what I was thinking when you were, sorry, I don't know why I got so excited. This is, okay, well, let me preface this by saying I should just call my next statement like the 1% history show, because I don't remember hardly any details. This is mostly guessing. But I did learn the other day, half learned, clearly didn't retain, learned and didn't retain, that there used to be a job where you could live, like these rich people and royals and stuff would hire people to basically be hermits in their gardens. So you'd be like a real life troll.
Scarecrow?
But you would just like, you'd be a part of the landscape. Like you would live in this like little shack in the gardens or in the woods, like on the property. And these rich people would like walk around with their friends, and then you would just be there. Like you're part of the ambiance.
What?
And people, I think it was only a job for like a year, but I was like, that would have been so cool.
What's the point? Job. I don't get what the point is.
You're just living.
You're living to make
art.
It look like people are there. Oh,
I think it's more of like, you know, instead of having like a gnome statue, you have this like old bearded wizard man who lives in a straw hut in your garden, and it's like instead of having that little gnome statue, you have this guy who just like wanders about, adds to the aura and witchiness of your property and your gardens.
I do have questions about
why. I won't be able to answer them.
Okay.
So.
Well, we'll do some research. If anyone knows.
That was 1% history with 2 girls, 1 ghost.
I love this. I love 1% history. It is a it's a nugget of information that we heard through someone else that we didn't retain all the information, but we're going to relay it back to you because it's a general think it's interesting
theme of what happened. We're heading in the right direction.
It's a launching point for you to go off and do your own research and then come back and tell us about it.
Right, because we're not historians. So
no.
Yeah.
Speaking of you guys telling us things, Corinne, do you have a listener story about a museum?
I do. Da-da-da.
Da-da-da. Is it sultry? Is it another sexy story you can tell us? Filled with tools?
I should have chosen one. I didn't think about that. I was very focused on like dirty novels. I should have thought about using this.
This is such a good idea. We should do an episode about like sexy ghost stories. And people should send us their sexy ghost stories and we'll read them in like sultry ways.
Yes. And we'll put on mood lighting.
Yeah.
I'm so into this.
Ooh, play some like sexy jazz music.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Saxophone in the background.
Yeah.
I love it. Light some candles. We'll feed you some chocolates in the middle.
Yeah. Ooh, we'll set the light like really low. Candles going.
This sounds good. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Better lighting to make this not look as sickly.
We'll wear like.
But by then we'll be fine.
We'll wear like 1920s sexy lingerie.
We'll wear our haunted nightgowns.
Yeah.
Why don't we wear our nightgowns for a little nighttime story time with us, Corinne and Sabrina?
Because we are so sexy.
I sound so sexy in my head right now. And I feel like it's one of those things where, you know, when you listen back to a recording of your voice and you're like, I don't sound like that. Like you always sound so different in your head.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I'm going to listen back to this and I'm going to be like, oh, I'm disgusted and embarrassed with myself. But right now, I sound good to myself.
You do sound good to me too. So.
Okay, thanks.
I'm in. I also just like your voice in general. So.
I like yours. I always said, I think you should spin off, leave me in the dust and do a nighttime sleep podcast because I feel like your voice is just so soothing.
Yeah, I just can't do anything without you. I'm too dependent on you.
No, you can do it, Sabrina.
I can't leave you.
Do a nighttime podcast without me, Sabrina. I don't want to listen to my own voice, but I want to listen to yours while I go to sleep. I need it.
What do I just what do I say? Like, good night, everyone. Sleep well.
Yeah.
Just repeating that over and over.
Here's the history of the Louvre Museum. And you just like read a story. It doesn't matter what the story's about.
Okay. Should I read scary stories told
really peacefully? Scary stories told peacefully. That's your spin-off podcast. And then mine is 1% history. This is perfect.
Yes! We'll be guests on each other's shows. Inhaler. Here she goes.
Struggling. Alrighty. Get in a more comfortable position. I'm going to read you an email. This is from Carson, and it is called Haunted Museum and a Ghost Cat.
Ooh.
Hello, ladies.
Hello.
My name is Carson, and I wanted to start off by saying that I love your podcast and I've been listening nonstop. My favorite episodes are your encounters, and I felt compelled to share my own story with you. My first story is about a children's museum I volunteered/worked at during high school in my hometown. I've been going there ever since I was a kid, and I've always had this ominous/spooky feeling whenever I was there, but I never knew why until I was older and I began working there. When I started, my coworkers would always joke about the ghost named Marley that haunted the museum at night, but I just thought it was a real joke. A brief description of the museum so you can understand a little bit better. The museum has 3 levels for guests and 2 additional levels, the basement where the staff works, and the attic for storage. There was also a mini zoo where I worked, a planetarium, and a theater-like room with a stage. Wait, this sounds sick. I want to go.
So cool. I was imagining like a tiny museum, but a planetarium?
A planetarium. Yeah.
Cool.
This is legit.
Yeah.
My experiences at the museum started very non-threatening, like feeling a cold breeze, hearing voices, hearing children's laughter. I would argue that is threatening. Children's laughter.
Yeah.
And footsteps even after the museum has closed. But I really started to freak out one day after my coworker and I stayed late after work. The stairs of the museum are musical stairs that are weight active. I feel like I've been here. Is this the Museum of Science in Boston? This feels like it.
To find out.
I do need to find out.
Okay.
I'm like, I feel like I've been here. I'm going to email Kirsten and say where the heck was this?
Yeah, I want to know.
Okay, so the museum has musical stairs that are weight activated. So when you step on one, a musical note plays. That evening, we were locking up never mind. It says we were locking up the zoo. There's no zoo there. We're locking up the zoo. And as we walked past the stairway, we heard the note play. I looked at him He looked at me. And all of a sudden, all of the stairs went off at once. It almost sounded like a person or a ghost was creeping up the stairs. And when it heard us, it rushed up the stairs, which made all the music go off. After that,
oh my gosh.
I didn't think the whole ghost story thing was a joke anymore. Also, after we became aware of the presence, the spirits became more and more active. We started to hear more footsteps, not just after closing, but all hours of the day. We would constantly see shadows, and we heard chains rattling in the attic.
Oh.
Now, for the finale of the story. My friends and I decided to do what all teenagers do, and we tried to contact the spirit to see what the hell was going on.
No.
My coworkers and I, we will call them Levi and Chad, downloaded a spirit box app on Levi's phone. We went into the theater room and turned all of the lights off. We were sitting on the stage with our backs against the wall, and I was in the middle of the two boys because I was a scared little girl at the time, and I didn't want anything to reach out and grab me. I was also still skeptical, but totally terrified. Levi put the spirit box / iPhone thing on the floor in front of us, and if you don't know what the spirit box is supposed to do, it scans through radio channels really fast, and spirits are supposed to be able to communicate through it. Chad started by asking the basic questions. Is there anyone here? Make yourself known, blah, blah, blah. But nothing.
Mm-hmm.
We sat there for a good 20 minutes talking about random stuff until I looked up into the darkness and I saw a tall man sitting on the front row in a suit and top hat.
Oh my gosh.
For some reason, I couldn't speak. I couldn't look away. I felt compelled to just keep staring. I hit both of the boys and I pointed, and Chad said, "You see him too?" I was freaking out.
Yeah.
Our focus was broken when we started hearing voices out of the spirit box. We heard multiple voices, one higher pitched, younger female voice, and one lower pitched, older male voice. The feminine voice kept saying, "Leave, go, leave, lights, go, lights on." Her tone wasn't scary. It was just almost as if she was telling us to leave because something more dangerous was with us. The other voice became more prominent, almost like it was shutting out the female voice.
Don't like this.
It was so loud that it almost sounded like it wasn't even coming from the phone anymore. It was all around us. It said loud and clear, "Can I come home with you?"
No.
And in that moment, all three of us jumped from our seats and ran out of the theater without saying goodbye. I truly believe that there are multiple spirits in this museum and that the little girl is a good, playful spirit who was just trying to look out for us. I also believe that there's something demonic in there. Even though I don't know much about demons, after that day, we think the more evil spirit must have followed Levi home because he began to have horrible night terrors. He saw shadow people every night, and he would wake up with scratches all down his back and neck with no recollection of how they got there.
This is not where I was expecting this story to go. Like children's museum. I was like happy, positive, something good, but
But they also forgot to say goodbye. They didn't close out the board.
Yeah.
So it's like, what else could have seen the light beaconing up from the Ouija board and decided to come hang out?
Jeez.
I don't know. We later found out that the museum was built on old Native American land and that there was a secret vault in the foundation of it that housed human remains. Creepy.
Oh,
now for a more lighthearted and much shorter story. My cat is a ghost cat, not a literal ghost, but I do believe that he has some connection with spirits because he is constantly looking around the air, almost watching someone even though no one is there. I haven't read much about spirit guides, and I don't know if you girls know anything about them either, but for some reason, I have an unworldly connection with my cat, and I just cannot explain it. Thank you guys for reading. I don't know if you guys have ever heard anything about the back rooms, but if you haven't, you definitely should research it and do an episode about it. Much love and see you on the other side, Carson. We absolutely need to do back rooms.
I don't know anything about it.
Oh, they're like, from my understanding, without doing much research and just seeing, videos and stuff of back rooms, it's like the places you go when you when your astral body slips into sort of like an in-between.
Oh.
Like you're not any particular place. You're it's basically like if you were in a computer game and it's in the Sims, and you're all supposed to be in the houses and on the land, but somehow you like slip past the code and you're in this like back room, and it's more dangerous there and creepy there because you're not supposed to be there, and everyone knows you're not supposed to be there. And there's a lot of people who have experiences where they describe like the same exact rooms, which is very creepy. But we should do.
I don't know why
like,
talking about that like made me feel nauseous.
Because it's really unsettling. It's unnerving.
Unsettling.
It kind of feels like
well, also this
some of the ghost trains we've talked about where like
yeah,
if you slip in, you might never come back. It feels like that.
Okay.
But
okay, well, Carson's this story is super unsettling. I feel really bad for Levi. I hope that he was able to get rid of whatever followed him home.
Yeah.
And then I feel like if you have stairs that are piano keys, you're asking for a haunting. And that probably happens a lot. It also, to me, I don't know how those work, but the way that they described it, where it's like all of a sudden all of the keys went off at once, makes me think there were multiple people standing on the stairs. Because if you're running up them, wouldn't it like kind of sequentially go off rather than all at once? Makes me think that they're all being stepped on at the same time.
Or if it's like, what if it's just motion censored and it doesn't actually have to be touched? And it was just like a spirit like drifting, like flying, or like an orb basically, just like zoop, like going so fast. Oh, it's just my little chicken wing just really flapped when I was doing that. But that's kind of like what I was picturing.
Yeah.
I don't know, because it can't be like heat activated because there's going to be people who have like shoes on and boots and stuff that are stepping on it.
Yeah.
I don't know how it works.
That would be so unsettling though, to be there late at night and like closing up and you just hear the like deep dong.
Yeah. Or what if a song started playing and it's like impossible for people to actually get to that like future step?
That I would be impressed by.
The notes are so far apart. Yeah.
That would be pretty cool. I would hope
then
that they
have
a spirit or is it like
cameras. A giant spirit and the big ass hand is coming.
Okay, picture this. There's a bunch of ghosts in the museum. They're like, we're bored. Like, what can we do? Let's put together a orchestra, but we just play the piano together, and we're gonna play a song. But everyone has their key that they work, or everyone has two keys. Every ghost has two keys, and they have the sheet music. Everyone knows their notes that they have to play, and then it's like, okay, 3, 2, 1, go, and then they start playing a song together.
They practice every night.
Every
night at 11 p.m. we have rehearsal.
12:33 a.m. Let's begin.
And then there's the one spirit that said that they didn't want to participate that's now really jealous because everybody's having the best time and they're all becoming really close friends. And they're like, oh, why was I such a negative Nancy?
Yeah.
I feel bad for them, even though we're making all of this up. But now I'm like, oh, you should ask him again. You should include him.
They find like a cowbell and they're doing the cowbell.
Yeah, more cowbell. Oh, man. The Ghost Band. Pretty sweet.
All right. We need to find out what
museum.
Yes.
Oh, yes. We'll email Carl.
And then we can go.
Email and say, Carson, where was this? Perfect.
Amazing.
Okay. What do you have?
I have a story from our listener, Shannon, and it is called I Work with Ghosts for a Living. Hi, Ghostesses. First, I just wanted to say thank you for the podcast. I love it and listen to it every day on my commute to work. I love listening to all the different stories you find and feel like I learn something new every episode. Well, Shannon, you got 1% facts today, so
1% history.
Or history, there you go. I kept telling myself that I should send you guys some of my experiences, but never got around to it until now, so here it is. I work in historic preservation, which is the coolest freaking job. My jobs have varied between cleaning historic structures, working in museums, and monitoring preservation/construction work happening at historic sites. So obviously, I work in and around a lot of really old, really spooky, and really haunted places. I've always been sensitive to the paranormal things, so of course I didn't expect anything less when I began working for historic sites. I have had many experiences like hearing footsteps and opening doors in Ellis Island's decaying hospital buildings. Side note, they run hard hat tours of them for public if you're ever in New York City and interested in doing something different. Ooh, let's add that to our list when we go to New York.
Yes. We have a full weekend. We're going to have to spend a month there.
Yeah. And I've seen a shadowy figure watching me and a coworker from the balcony of Trenton's War Memorial Theater in New Jersey. But all of those experiences pale in comparison to some of the shit I saw and heard when I worked for Colonial Williamsburg. As you might have known or guessed, Colonial Williamsburg is notoriously haunted. When I worked there, my job was to go through the historic buildings at 6 a.m. to get things ready for visitors. During the winter months, this was especially horrible because I would be in the dark, haunted buildings, completely alone, with very little light before the sun even came up. I could go on about all of the things I experienced while working there, but there are 2 stories in particular that still freak me out to this day. Story 1. One of the most notoriously haunted houses in Williamsburg is the Randolph House. I, along with several of my coworkers at the time, refused to go into this house before sunrise because of how creepy and eerie it is. There are countless stories of security guards getting locked in the basement, people seeing shadows walk past the windows, hearing voices coming from inside after hours, among many other experiences. This one particular time, I went in sometime shortly after sunrise. And you know that feeling when you walk through a door and everything is eerily too quiet and still? Well, that's what I walked into when I got there. That feeling freaked me out, so I hurried to get my job done and did a walkthrough of the rooms to make sure everything was where it was supposed to be. As I began making my way up the main stairs after checking the parlor and Ms. Randolph's sitting room, I heard footsteps coming from the formal dining room. Mind you, I had just walked past that room before heading up the stairs, and there was no one in there. So I begrudgingly continued upstairs, picking up my pace so I could get out as quickly as possible. And as I wrapped up my walkthrough, I decided to go down the servants' stairs because they were the furthest away from the room that I had heard the footsteps in. And I did not want to see what or who was making those noises. When I was mid-step on my way down the stairs, I felt a small push, and my foot slipped on the worn wood stair tread.
Oh my
Luckily,
God.
I was able to catch myself before tumbling down the stairs, but that experience definitely shook me a little bit. And after that, I refused to go into the building until I knew the interpreters were there or a coworker was with me. The second story takes place in the second most haunted house called the Wythe House. This house, however, is not as eerie or creepy. Sometimes I would hear music, light footsteps, or ghost children running around, but there was nothing violent or physical that ever happened there. I actually didn't mind going into that one early because the hauntings felt friendly and almost peaceful. Part of my daily duties was to clean the plexiglass barriers that blocked off the staged rooms from visitors. It was the first task I did each day because it was the easiest to get out of the way. That morning, I cleaned the plexiglass in the upstairs rooms as usual, then went back downstairs to grab the broom to sweep up some loose rocks that visitors had tracked in the day before. When I came back upstairs, I saw little kid handprints on the plexiglass that I had just cleaned. At first, I thought maybe I missed it and didn't spray enough cleaner. But when I tried to wipe it off, I realized it was on the other side of the barrier. The side that faces the interior of the room, which no one except for employees has access to get into. Needless to say, I stood up.
This is so upsetting.
But at least it's like, this is a house with like positive and kids running around and having fun.
The children that are pushing her down the stairs.
No, but this is a different house.
Oh.
This house she said is positive.
It was like a little hand that had pushed her before.
She felt a small push.
Which small push, but not necessarily a small hand.
Small hand.
Got it.
Yes.
I was thinking
and
this house just this child stalking her from house to house. I was like, no.
A little like serial killer kid from Colonial Williamsburg.
Just like so annoying.
Needless to say, I stood up, walked down the stairs, put the broom away, walked straight out the door, and did not go back in. I regret not taking pictures of it, but I was so spooked, and that was really low on the priority list. I have so many other stories from working and life in general, but I thought you would enjoy these too. Stay spooky. Keep up the great work. I'm sure I speak for many, many others when I say your podcast brightens my day and keeps me laughing or screaming out loud, depending on how creepy a story is. From Shannon.
Wow. I mean, that's a tough job to have, like during the winter months, to have to be anywhere alone and open something and like know that it's haunted and it's creepy.
Yeah.
In the complete darkness. That is very scary.
I'm really curious. This is a bit of a tangent, but I feel like because you were just in Salem this past weekend and it made me think of our trips to Salem, I'm really curious if the people who work at the Salem Witch House have stories like this. Because there's probably some of them who are there like by themselves early in the morning. That house is so historic. I mean, it doesn't surprise me that it does make me sad that people like have to go into these houses alone, knowing that they're haunted, knowing that there are spirits in them. At least the White House, like it does seem positive and just like little kids and family people running around. But the Randolph House is terrifying. Yeah.
Ugh, I know. But I would never want to be. I feel like that you have to make a rule where like you go in pairs when it has to.
Yeah.
When it comes to a place like that, it makes me wonder too how many issues employees have had with that house before, and if like management has ever had to like change what they do and what they ask of people based on like spirit interactions in those particular places.
Well, if Shannon was pushed in the Randolph House, I imagine there are plenty of other people who have had similar experiences in that house, which makes me wonder, is there anyone who like has fully fallen down the stairs from being pushed?
Yeah.
And they thought that they were just being
messed up.
I know. It's
especially
scary.
Because like it makes you think, well, I'm hoping that it's just one spirit. I'm hoping that it's one spirit that she heard far on the other side, attempted to get away from the spirit and went down the other side and ended up making contact. I'm really hoping that it's not like a group of spirits or like a pair that are basically like working together. It's like I'll push her towards you and you shove her down the stairs, you know?
Terrifying.
Like I'll make loud noises over here so that she migrates towards you.
Terrifying
and you're the
duo.
one that hits her. Hurts her.
Yeah. Hits and hurts. Yeah.
Hits and hurts. Sticks and stones, baby.
Yeah. I don't need to be hurt anymore. Things have already happened to me. Anyway,
hurt.
If you have experiences with the paranormal in any capacity, or aliens or Bigfoot or cryptids or creatures or anything at all, please email them to us at twogirlsmygghostpodcast@gmail.com and join our triangle. Get lost in the triangle. Tell all your friends about the podcast. And then buy tickets to our moment. It's July 21st. We are going live. The live stream. You can join from anywhere in the world. And it's going to be a great, fun time.
It's going to be so fun. We're so freaking excited.
We've
been, honestly, I feel like we didn't talk about it enough in the beginning where this has been in the works for a few months. And so now it's finally coming to fruition. So we're just like, oh my God, it's finally here. We get to try. We're going to try. It's going to be fun.
Can't wait. Amazing.
Can't wait.
Watch us on YouTube. Join us on Patreon.
Do all
rate
the
and
things.
Review us on iTunes.
And July 1st, we are also coming out with new merch. So go buy your merch. You can bring it and wear it to our live show. And then you can get some exclusive merch at the live show as well.
At the live show. Woo! Yes. And thank you so much to our editors at Upfire Digital, Eric and Aiden. You guys are freaking amazing. Thank you so much to all of you who are listening and supporting us on a daily basis. And we're just grateful.
And we will see you on the other side.
Bye.
Bye.